Hello, everybody. Welcome to Bleepin' and Bloopin'. This is going to be a little kind of short, more technical discussion. Just wanted to talk about some of my favorite modules that I've been really psyched on right now. I've been really obsessed with taking things like CV and running it through my comparator and branching that CV into different voices and that sort of thing. And I've had this window comparator compare2 from Journalog for about a year, and for a while I didn't really use it that much because I just didn't really understand it. Similar with my Select 2. But in the last couple of months, since I've been really focused on exploring interesting logic related things, these two modules have quickly become very important to almost all of my patches. There's so many things you can do with these two modules when you combine them together. And so, for example, one thing lately I've been thinking about, how could I compare two signals? And I was looking at maybe buying some other module just to do a normal comparison, like find the max, find the min signal, that sort of thing. And then it occurred to me, well, I have these two really powerful tools here that can probably achieve that for me if I think about it a little. And so I spent some time this morning patching that up, and I've got the patch here. I'm using maths to generate my two signals that I'm comparing, and I'm sending everything into my AC/DC so that I can record it on the scope over there. I don't have one of those really cool Mordax data scopes, so I'm just using VCV-Rack as my scope right now. And so, yeah, you can see if you look on the scope, channel 2 of maths is the red line, which you can see moving up and down as I adjust this pot here. And then channel 3 of maths is the yellow line. You can see I'm moving that up and down here too. And so the way I have this patched up is that I have my compare2 set with the shift all the way up. And so what that does is that moves the window all the way to the maximum. And then one thing I found is that the maximum size of the window is roughly close to the full range of the comparison. So if you have, for example, if you have size set to maximum and you have your position set in the middle, then any value you put in will trigger the positive out on the comparison, because a maximum size of the window seems to envelop like the whole range of the comparator. And so by having things set to max and then having the shift of the comparator shifting that window all the way to the max, now the middle of the window is at the maximum range, and so therefore half of the window goes down to 0. So the way this would be working if you had no inputs would be that you could get only positive voltages. So if I unplug, like if I didn't have anything in the shift, right now what would happen is this will go positive on positive voltages of 1. So you can see right there, as soon as maths crossed into positive, now we're in a positive zone, and you'll see it doesn't quite envelop the entirety of the range, but pretty close. And so we can see this is giving us positive values. Now let's go back to what we came for. So by taking and plugging something into shift, we can further shift our window. So right now, let's say this is our range. The window is covering this part. Now if I add a positive CV to that shift, now our window is moving here like this, right? A negative CV, we could bring it back down, right? So if we think about that, if we make if one of our signals we want to compare, if one of our signals we want to compare is put into shift, and then the other signal is our actual input, so now we have two signals that we can move around and compare to each other. And so I'll just show you real quick how that works. And the scope, you should be able to see things on the scope. I have right now I have this zeroed out. So the blue trace on the scope, which is a little bit hard to see, is the output of the select 2. And the inputs of the select are that position 1 is our input signal, which is also going to the N of the compare to, and position 2 is the second input signal, which is going to shift of the compare to. And so this would be the red trace, so input 1. This will be the yellow trace, input 2, and then the blue trace is coming out. And so, and I do have the blue trace scaled just a little. It is important that the select be also shifted to max or approximately max, so that we're not attenuating the output. So right now they're not exactly lined up, but that actually makes it a little easier to see on the scope. So let's say, for example, I'm going to set my shift at 0. And you can see when I move input 1, you can see the blue line there on the trace, it's right at the pointer, is following the input. And now, once I go past input 2, you see that green signal, that's my comparator's gate going positive, saying, hey, now we're in the window. And we can see now, if I move input 2, you can see the blue trace follows it instead. And so at this point, we will only ever see the minimum of the output, right? And so that's pretty nice. So now if we wanted to change that, what if we want to see the maximum? Well, it's really easy. All we have to do is take our NOT, which is the inverted output of our window. And so now you can see the blue trace is following our higher value up high. And as soon as I bring our second value above the red, it'll start now our gate goes high, and so now we're following the second value. So pretty cool little patch, kind of really neat way to avoid buying another module just by having these two really powerful ones next to each other that we can patch program into something awesome. Maybe in the next video I'll actually use this for something, but for now I just wanted to go over the logic of how it works and show it off in the scope. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you next time.